Hi children, welcome back to our chapter Fiber to Fabric. We have seen different types of animal fibers. Two types are the wool and silk, and we have started with the wool. And you know, wool we are getting from the sheep, and for getting that good quality of wool, we are selecting the parents of good qualities and breeding them to get offsprings of good quality wool. Okay, and we have seen the different animals from which we are getting that wool and all: alpaca, llama, angora goat, isn't it? Now we are moving to rearing of sheep. For getting the wool, we are rearing the sheep. From the sheep, we are collecting the hairs and converting that into woolen fabrics. Okay, so for getting the wool, we are rearing the sheep. Sheep are reared in different parts of our country. When we pass through our different hilly areas of our country, such as Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, and the plains of Haryana, Gujarat, and Rajasthan and all, you might have seen that shepherds taking their herds of sheep for grazing. If you haven't seen it, you might have seen it in movies, isn't it? Right. Okay, so we have seen that shepherds are taking their herds of sheep for grazing, and you know the sheep is a herbivorous animal. Sheep are herbivores, and they prefer grass and leaves. Apart from grazing, the rearers feed a mixture of oil cakes, minerals, jowar, then corn, pulses, all these are given by the rearers. So, oil cakes are the remainings. When we take that oil from the seeds and all, what is left behind that is known as oil cakes. And oil cakes, minerals, then jowar, then corn, pulses, all these are given to that sheep other than the leaves and grass. Okay, and in winter the sheep are kept indoors. Rearers keep them indoors and fed them grains, leaves, and dry fodders also. So, during that winter season, they cannot be taken out for grazing. So, they will be kept indoors and given that food, that is grain and leaves and dry fodders are given for the sheep. So, this is how the rearers are rearing that sheep for getting good qualities of wool. And in page number 26, there is a table 3.1. The table gives different Indian breeds of this sheep. There we can see Lohi that gives a good quality of wool. It is found there in Rajasthan, Punjab. Then Rampur Bushehr is and that gives brown fleece, and that is found there in Uttar Pradesh and Himachal Pradesh. Nali is that wool from the wool which is getting from this type of breeds. We are taking it for making carpet, and that is seen there in the Rajasthan, Haryana, and Punjab. And Bakkarwal for woolen shawls. That wool we are getting from this is used for making shawls and all, which is seen there in Jammu Kashmir. And Marwari, it is the wool getting is coarse. It is not smooth, shiny, and that is obtained coarse wool is obtained from the Marwari, and it is seen there in Gujarat. And Patanwadi is also found there in Gujarat, which is that wool is appeared as a Holsey wool. So all these are Indian breed, which we are getting different qualities of wool for making different types of woolen fabrics. Some fibers we are using it for making that carpets and all, some others we are using it for making the sweaters and all. So different purposes are there, and depending upon that quality we are selecting it for different purposes. And we have already seen that sheep are selectively bred for getting good qualities of wool, isn't it? So we are selecting the parents of good quality, and they are bred so that we will be getting a good quality offsprings. In that offsprings we will get good quality, and from there we are getting that wool also will be that good quality wool. Okay. Now we can see what are the different processing of wool when we convert it into fabrics. There are different stages through which the wool is going through. Once if we are selectively breeding the parents, and once parents are selected for getting good qualities of offsprings, from that offsprings we are collecting that wool there, and that wool is undergoing through different stageal process for getting fabric. Now we can see which are the different stages of processing of wool. Processing wool. First stage is stage 1, which is known as shearing. What do you mean by shearing? Shearing is the shaving of the hairs from the wool giving animal. Different types of wool giving animals are there. From the body we are actually removing that hairs, and that process is known as shearing. Okay, when we shear that, we will remove that outer skin along with the hairs. Along with the scales we are removing the outer skin. Now there is a question, does the shearing hurt this animal? Will it hurt the animal? No. Why? Because when you have a haircut, or when your father is having that shaving of his beard and all, does it hurt him or you? Never, right? It will not hurt us, isn't it? Same way we are also removing the outer skin as well as the hairs of these animals, and as the outer skin is dead, so it will not hurt the animal. Removing dead outer skin with hairs. So as the outer skin, body skin, outer layer of the skin is dead, it will not hurt the animal. So and also the shearing is done in summer season. Do you know what is the reason why we adopt that shearing process in summer season? Why do we that shearing in summer season? Right, it is because we know that hairs are the thick coat which is given by the nature for them to protect these animals from their extreme climatic conditions, isn't it? They have to survive in the extreme climatic conditions, and the nature itself have provided them this thick coat to protect it or to keep them warm during this winter climates and all, isn't it? So if we are removing that hairs during the winter season, they cannot survive. But if it is during the summer season, for them it will be easy for them to survive during that summer season, and when the winter comes, they will regain their body hairs back. Okay, so normally the shearing is done during summer season. So, shearing is the removal of outer skin which is dead along with the hairs. That process, that is the stage 1 of processing of wool, that shearing. Okay. Now we can move to second stage, stage 2. Stage 2, that is scouring. When we are removing that dead skin as well as that hairs, definitely that greasy material, dirt and dust, everything will be sticking into the hairs, isn't it? So, after collecting the hairs, we have to wash it to remove all these dirt, dust and greasy materials from the skin. That washing is known as scouring. So, scouring is washing sheared hairs for removing dirt, dust, and greasy material, whatever is sticking to that hairs, that will be removed by washing it in large tank. That is known as scouring. Okay. Now we can move to the third stage, stage 3, that is sorting. See, after washing that hairs, sheared hairs are then taken for washing and scouring. After scouring, that hairs which we are collecting from different animals, so the texture also will be different. Different animals will have different textures. So, that depending upon the textures, we have to sort it, and that is known as sorting. Sorting depending on different textures. So, depending upon the different textures, this collected hairs are sorted, and that is known as stage 3, sorting. Okay. After that sorting, what we are doing is, there will be small fluffy fibers will be there, that we call it as burrs. Burrs have to be removed from that. When you are wearing a sweater, sometimes if it is not a new one, definitely you can observe the small hairs will be coming out from that fabric, right? That is known as burr. So, burrs we have to remove by picking it by hands or using any machine. So, in stage 4, we have to remove burrs, and after the removing burrs, we are washing it again and drying. So, we can say that here we are drying it. And first we are removing the burrs. Removing burr. Burr means small fluffy fibers. Burrs. Burr means small fluffy fibers, and that is removed by picking it, and after removing the burrs, it is taking for drying. It is dried. After removing burrs, it is dried. Washed and dried. Washed again and dried. Okay. So, this is the fourth stage where from the sorted fibers we are removing the burrs, and after removing the burrs we are washing it again and drying it. Then we can see into the for fifth stage. When we move into the fifth stage, stage 5, that is dyeing. Dyeing, have you heard about that word dyeing? Dyeing means giving different colors. You know, normally that we are getting the wool from sheep, and normal colors of sheep are white, brown and black, isn't it? So, if we want to give other different colors, definitely we have to dye it. We have to apply synthetically the colors to that fabric. Fibers, then only it will be having different colors. So, that process is known as dyeing. Dyeing to get different colors. Dyeing to get different colors. So, in the fifth stage, we are taking that after drying, we are getting that hairs, and that hairs are dyed, given different colors, and that is known as stage fifth stage, that is dyeing. Then after that dyeing, it is again dried. After once it is dyed, giving color, after giving color it has to be dried. And then the dried fibers are straightened by combing. In the sixth stage, stage 6, it is made straightened by combing it and then rolled into yarns. Rolling. Straightened by combing and rolled to get yarns, rolled to yarns. So, these are the different stages of processing of wool. In that sixth stage, that fibers we are getting there after giving colors, that is dried, and the dried fibers we are combed and that is made by straightened. After combing it will become very straight there, and the straightened these fibers are then rolled to get the yarn. From the yarn we are adopting the process of weaving or spinning to make that fabrics there. That we have studied in 6th standard. After getting the yarn, that is taken for weaving or knitting, so that we can convert it into fabrics, right. So, these are the different stages of processing of wool. Initially, we have seen that we are wool is obtained from the sheep and other wool yielding animals, and for getting that wool we are rearing that sheep. Then rearers, normally the rearers feed the sheep with different types of material other than the grass and leaves. Normally they are herbivores, so they prefer this grass and leaves. Apart from that, they are getting minerals, oil cakes, pulses, corn, jar, etc. And then in winter, these animals are kept there in the in winter season they are kept indoors and are fed by giving green leaves there, and grains are also given there, and dry fodder will be given there. And after that, rearers will get good qualities of wool from this animal, and we have seen different varieties of good quality Indian breed animals which gives different types of wool there. And this once if the wool sheep are reared, we are allowing to that animal to grow a thick layer of hairs on their body. Once if it is hairs are grown properly and after that we are collecting that hairs by the process of shearing. From the different stages of processing starts and we can see the different stages of processing of wool. We can see during the processing of wool, stage 1 shearing. Shearing is the removing outer skin of woolen animal, that hairs as well as outer skin will be removed from there, and that process does not hurt the animal because outer skin is dead. So, if you are shaving that outer skin, it will not harm the animal. And also this shearing is done in summer season because it will help the animal to survive in that winter climatic conditions, because when the winter starts it will develop a fresh hairs it will start growing so that it can survive in that winter season. And after shearing, the sheared hairs are taken for washing in a large tank, so that the dirt, dust and grease, all the sticky materials can be removed during that process, that is known as scouring. And then after scouring, in the third stage, we are taking it for sorting, that is normally not from a single animal we are collecting the hairs, we are collecting it from different animals, so size and texture, everything will be different there. So, according to different textures, we are sorting it. After sorting, we are removing the small fluffy fibers which are known as burr, and after removing that burr, it is dried there. That is the fourth stage, drying. Once if it is dried there, we are dipping in different colors to give attractive colors, that is known as dyeing. Fifth stage is dyeing, and dyeing is done for getting different colors. And then once if it is dyed, the dyed that hairs are taking, that is combed for making it straight. After straightening, that is rolled to get the yarn, that is known as rolling, stage 6. During this, normally we are getting a yarn, the woolen yarn and that yarn we will take it for weaving or knitting, so that we can convert that yarn to fabrics. Okay. One more thing is which we call it as occupational hazard. Occupational hazard. What do you mean by occupational hazard? Have you heard the term? No. Okay. Occupational hazard means any sort of occupation if faces any type of health issues and all, that is known as occupational hazard. For example, we can say that making wool or wool industry is an important industry. It will be the livelihood for many people, isn't it? Many people are taking this as the livelihood. Okay. So, during this we have seen the different stages and the sorters stage, when we are doing that sorting process, during that time, that if it is by hand picking and all, these people will be very much involved with the body hairs of these animals. So, definitely they will be facing a bacterium such as anthrax, which is found there in animal body. Okay. So, sorter's job is a risky job. They will be get infected by this anthrax, which lead to a fatal blood disease. Okay. So, that people who is doing that sorter work they are facing a problem with this anthrax. Okay. So, such sort of issues faced by these people working in different areas or different industries are known as occupational hazard. Okay. So, I think now it is clear to you that initially we have seen the rearing of sheep and then we have seen the processing of wool, and finally we have seen a small thing which is known as occupational hazard. So, that is all about the video topic, and thank you.